Hello, everyone. My name is Ifreka King. I'm currently a second year pharmacy student at Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Their campus is in Georgia, so that's currently where I am right now. A little bit background on, I guess, my pharmacy journey. I graduated from UIC in 2017 with a degree in chemistry. Since then, I worked at Walgreens. I worked at independent pharmacies in Chicago. And then I transitioned to Rush University Medical Center, which is a trauma center in Chicago. And I loved working there, so I'm really into hospital pharmacy. Outside of that, a few things about me. I am a published researcher in the American Journal of Pediatrics. I currently have my own business, body care line. I use a lot of what I learned from pharmacy school into how I make my products. And a very fun fact about me is that I love watching cooking shows and old school cartoons like Hey Arnold, Rugrats, stuff like that.
Love that.
Great cartoons.
Hey guys, my name is Tila Thomas. So I'm originally from Newcastle, Delaware. My pharmacy background in terms of schooling is that I graduated from Shenandoah University, that's in Virginia, with my bachelor's in biology and minor in chemistry. Currently a P3 at Rosalind Franklin University in Illinois. I currently do work at Walgreens, but that's essentially my only experience in terms of working in pharmacy aside from like rotations from school and stuff. But yeah, super excited to be here. A few fun facts, I guess, slash hobbies about me is that over this like pandemic moment, I started taking care of plants because before that, listen, I was not good for taking care of plants. So I now have flourishing ones, if you can see in my background, and I'm super excited about it. But I'm also into photography, like film and digital, and really into music and like music production and stuff like that. So yes, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome.
Obviously, you guys know Dr. Jessica Johnson, the person who was able to bring us all here together for this wonderful seminar, and we thank you for that. As you can see, her education from before was South University School of Pharmacy, had a PGY1 and PGY2, both at VA hospitals. Currently, a VISN 23 Clinical Resource Hub packed clinical pharmacy practitioner. Full name.
It's just a fancy title, guys. But I'm an ambulatory care pharmacist and I work for the VA. Easy.
Basically, to sum it all up. And your hobbies?
Yeah, so mentoring, that's why we're here. Traveling, hopefully things don't shut down. I also hate but love working out, mainly strength and hit training. I FaceTime with my friends and family a lot. I intrude into their lives with FaceTime usually. And I also listen to audiobooks now, but I pretend that I'm reading and I say that I've read these books, but I didn't. It's audio. But that's okay.
Love that. Love that for you. And next we have Dr. Amber Dietrich. Dr. Amber Dietrich is an assistant professor of pharmacy practice with instruction in a variety of topics and disciplines. Dr. Dietrich is passionate about providing students with an environment to facilitate positive and lifelong learning. You can say a few words if you want, Dr. Dietrich.
Um,
Sure.
Good.
I did not include my hobbies, but that has now changed since COVID. So we're going to pretend I'm going to give you my non-COVID hobbies, which is obviously traveling. I love to travel and see new places, specifically if food is involved. A fun fact about me is Dr. Johnson and I were classmates at South University School of Pharmacy, and we go
Oh
way,
yeah.
way back, way, way back.
Way back. The struggle together.
The struggle was real.
Sweet.
All right. So next we have Dr. Darylyn McLean. Dr. Darylyn McLean is the Director of Advanced Pharmacy Practice Experiences at Chicago State University College of Pharmacy. Dr. McLean received her Doctor of Pharmacy degree in 2005 from Florida A&M University College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Okay, we love an HBCU. Located in Tallahassee, Florida. In 2006, she completed a pharmacy practice residency at Veterans Affairs Medical Center located in Washington, D.C. She has worked in several pharmacy areas such as pediatrics, nonprofits, institutional, industry, and community. Dr. McLean, would you like to say anything for us today?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So the same with me. I left my hobbies off, but however, I love traveling. Hopefully things will get back to normal soon. Love being with my friends and family, as well as I love going to concerts, trying out different restaurants because I love to eat. I'm a fat girl. and and just that's pretty much about it. And I love mentoring the students. So I love kind of sharing my experiences and also trying to get students to their goal and their passion, their interests in pharmacy as well. So looking forward to speaking with all of you tonight.
All right. Thank you, Dr. McClain. All right, next we have Dr. Kristen Robinson, who obtained her Doctor of Pharmacy degree from Florida A&M University College of Pharmacy in 2013. She currently serves as the Assistant Director of Experiential Programs and Clinical Assistant Professor at Howard University College of Pharmacy. Her research interests include HIV/AIDS, interprofessional education, health disparities, and women's health. Dr. Robinson, would you like to say anything for us today as your introduction?
Yes, I would. I also left off my hobbies prior to the pandemic, just like everyone stated, traveling. Fun fact, that's how me and Dr. Johnson met. We met randomly while I was on a vacation, so that was nice. Prior to the pandemic, I was taking up the bass guitar, and I'm still doing that right now. But since the pandemic, I started skating. As well as I guess I can consider myself a thrifter. So I love going to the thrift stores. So those are my hobbies. And I'm glad to be here to see each and every one of you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Robinson. So just to give us a brief kind of outline of how we will be taking our discussion today, it'll be divided up into 4 different areas. So first we have purposing pharmacy, which really dives into your why, kind of starting and launching your pharmacy career, because now that you're in pharmacy school, we're here, so now we have to figure out how we're going to get to the next step from after pharmacy school. What I wish I knew, a lot of us enter things thinking we know something and not really knowing a lot of what we don't know until later on. So you're going to learn a lot more outside of the classroom, I feel like, in pharmacy school. So that section will help you understand that as well. Studying tips, because to get through pharmacy school, we got to know how to study. That's like the number one way. Personally, I think studying was the number one thing I had to learn to make it through my first year. And lastly, the real work begins now. So there will be discussing internships, scholarships, externships, rotations, professionalism, just all the other components that add to making you an excellent student and pharmacist in the future.
And FYI, feel free to drop questions or things that you like, as we cover them in the chat.
Yes.
Awesome.
So
sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to start off with purposing pharmacy from day one, understanding your why.
My turn. Okay. So guys, if you can't tell, we're pretty laid back. I do want you all to, remain professional, but if you have questions or concerns or want to add to the topic, please put that in the chat, and Tila and Ifreke will definitely be helping us keep that moving. But purposing pharmacy was one thing that I wish I would have done. I don't know about you guys going into pharmacy school. I think it was always, you should go to pharmacy school. You should be this, you should be that. And I was like, all right, pharmacy school sounds pretty cool. And then I got into pharmacy school and I was like, oh yeah, I do like it. I mean, I had experience prior to starting, but I don't think I really established a good foundation for myself starting out in order to really develop or carve out a roadmap, if you will, on where I wanted my career to end up. So I really want you guys to really sit down and write out, like, why am I here? To gain it, because as you go along, topics aren't going to always be as interesting I guess you could say. And preceptors or mentors, you guys can unmute and chime in as you will. But topics aren't going to be always as interesting as you would like. You're not going to want to know about it. And you really have to remember, I'm here because of this. I'm here because I want to do this. I want to help people. I want to make a difference in other people's lives. I want to educate people about their health care so they can be empowered to manage their own health, whatever the case may be. So I really challenge you to write out, why am I here? And just see how that develops as you go along. Did anyone have any other purposing pharmacy from day one? We'll do Dr. Dietrich and then,
okay. So I definitely was going to say two things about that. The purposing your why early in pharmacy school. So I was a pharmacy technician for 13 years before even going to pharmacy school. So my why actually changed when I got there, because what I thought I wanted to go to pharmacy school for was completely different. So also understanding that your why may change as you grow and allow yourself to develop and say, you know what, originally thought I was coming here to open up my own independent pharmacy, but hospital's looking real nice. And I think residency is my why, or I think, drug industry is my why. Allow it to change, but allow you to grow as it changes, and as a professor, so I'm an assistant professor now, and I teach the first years. Quarter one, day one, Monday morning at 8:30, I'm the first person they see. I don't know if that's like, I don't know. I haven't asked my boss why we do that. I haven't talked to my dean yet. I don't know if I want to know the answer. But I tell them my why now is actually different, even as a pharmacist, because my why is I want to teach them how I wasn't taught, or teach them how I like to be taught. So now my why is completely different. It still involves patients and being a pharmacist, but my why changed. So then understanding, restating your why, especially in the times of frustration, say, I'm studying for this test still because, and then that's my why, and then keep going. I'm up writing lecture still because they asked me for one more tutoring session, and that's my why, because my professors did not tutor me, but my students needed a little bit. So I'm going to give that, and that because that's my why.
Perfect. Thank you. Tika?
So in terms of, I guess, purposing, how Dr. Johnson was saying before she got to pharmacy school, she really didn't understand her why. I can resonate with that because, I was in high school and I was like, yeah, I want to go to pharmacy school. And then I got to college and pretty much college was just working to go to pharmacy school. And I don't think I really had a full set reason as to why I wanted to go. I just knew pharmacy was something that interests me and that's why I want to go. And then my entire undergrad career was really just working to get to pharmacy school, and that was essentially it. And then I got to pharmacy school and it was way rougher than I expected, way more work, way more things that I did not expect. And I was like, why did I put myself through this? Why am I even here? And having to really take that first year to really understand my why and what makes me, and like Dr. Dietrich said, it can change for sure, because I feel like from my first year to now 100% definitely has changed, but it's okay to come in and not know it, but as you're going through, make sure that you're purposing yourself and knowing that you being here for a reason will definitely make it a little bit easier in terms of studying for your classes, being up late. You're like, okay, I'm doing this because I want to get to this point, or I'm doing this because I want to impact this person. I think that that's definitely a big thing to keep in mind.
That's awesome.
I would like to add as well. I think for me personally, when I didn't consider pharmacy until maybe after I graduated college. I think being the child of Nigerian immigrants, I just know, okay, Ifreke, you have to be a doctor of some sort. I like that was just grounded into my head as a child. And so, but it's so I guess initially I went down the healthcare route to make my parents happy. But if you're doing something to make anybody else happy, that's not going to be enough fuel to push you through the late nights, like Tila said, the studying, all the extra things that come with the career and getting to the career point. So I had to really find what made the most sense to me. So when I was interested in pharmacy, I started working in an independent pharmacy, and I started working in the Walgreens, all these different areas, so that I could really understand, is this what I like? Is this for me? And I found that it was. I thought I wanted to start my own pharmacy, and then I realized I don't want to do that by working in a pharmacy, like an independent pharmacy. And then I realized I didn't really like retail like that, you know. And just having mentors and things have opened me in to realize all the different possibilities with pharmacy. So now I know my why is that I want to be able to be a resource of help to my community, whether it be in a pharmacy or whether it be more so like in communication, like delivering honest like health information to them and things like that. So that's how I discovered my why. I'm only in my second year, so hopefully my why just gets better. It doesn't really change, but but I definitely agree with everyone saying that the why changes, because I just think you experience more things, and so that just shows you your different opportunities.
Yeah, that's really good. Dr. McLean or Dr. Robinson, did you guys want to add to that?
Sure. So let's see, how I got interested in pharmacy school. I did not have any experience. I never worked as a technician or anything prior to pharmacy school. My interest just became about just because my grandmother was on a lot of medication, and I just wanted to know, how does she take on the medication and it doesn't affect her body. I actually wanted to become a pediatrician. And then I actually went on a high school field trip where we visited a pharmacy and met a pharmacist, and then that piqued my interest. So that's how I became interested in pharmacy school. I struggled throughout pharmacy school. I'm not gonna, just to be transparent, I truly struggled through pharmacy school. I had to teach myself how to study, and time management, and actually seek help. And as far as what I wanted to do after pharmacy school, I thought I wanted to go into industry. I really had an interest in industry, and ended up going a totally, completely different path. I ended up completing a residency, and then I ended up going into pediatrics and just kind of falling in love with pediatrics. And then now I ended up in academia. And who would have thought that I would have ended up in academia, being able to help students and guide them in what they want to become once they graduate from pharmacy school, or help them throughout pharmacy school. So no matter what your path is, just be flexible. Just be flexible. And when you think, if you need help, seek it. Don't be afraid. Go to Dr. Johnson. You can also come to any of us. Go to your faculty members in your pharmacy school and seek help.
Okay. And I guess from my experience in high school, I just wanted to make a decision. When I hit the 10th grade, we had a success center at my high school, and she was very critical. Miss Jennings, if she ever sees this recording, thank you for this. But she was very dedicated to our success in pursuing any endeavors in regards to college or trades or whatnot. So there was a toss up between nursing and pharmacy. And I always knew I wanted to attend an HBCU for sure. And FAMU had both programs, but after doing, a little research, I realized that pharmacy was the best way to go for me. My only awareness, again, was just understanding people in my family who were taking medications, but as far as personal experience, I didn't have any experience. And I initially went into it thinking that I wanted to go into community. And then around my third year in pharmacy school, I was so inspired by my professors that my why shifted to academia. So from there, my interest was in academia. However, I took a little detour. I went back to community because I was a pharmacy intern for all 4 years in pharmacy school, and I decided that was not for me. However, my path still took me through community pharmacy for a year. And then from there, one of my mentors for pharmacy school informed me of a 2-year fellowship at the University of South Florida in Tampa, Florida, where I completed a 2-year fellowship in academia, women's health, and research. So I'm grateful for the path that I took because it put me right in the type of postgraduate training I needed for my interest that I decided on in my third year of pharmacy school. And since then, I've been in academia and recently came to Howard. So as far as understanding your why, give yourself some grace and understanding if it changes. You may feel you want to come in and learn about oncology, and then you hit the oncology module, and then it's a beast. And then you say, I might not want all this stress in my life. So you may gear towards cardiology or HIV or GI or peds, like Dr. McLean. Give yourself some grace and understanding you can change your mind. However, everything that you encounter, while sometimes in transparency, it may feel like this is pointless, why are we doing this? It's all for the greater good at the end. But just keep that in mind as you continue to tweak your why.
That's awesome. And I think I just want to wrap that up too with a bow, Telix. I see you ready. But one thing that really stood out for this part of the discussion is that it will change. If you guys didn't take anything from what we stated, just know that being flexible on what you're doing and why you're doing it is okay. You can have a core value of why you're here, why you're in pharmacy school, but across the board, all of us have had a change in our why and change in career, and we're in paths that we may not even started or knew about starting pharmacy school. So just get your purpose. That's just to set your foundation, and then let's grow on that as you move through your career.
Sure. Absolutely.
Great stuff, guys.
I was really only chiming in because I was going to say Dr. Robinson hit it right on the head, because we just started our oncology section today, and I was like, ooh, I thought I liked this, but I don't know. I don't know if it could be for me. But yeah.
Very true.
We'll move on to the next topic, and is what I wish I knew before starting pharmacy school. I put the caption, y'all weren't going to warn me. No one told me what was going to happen. Essentially, I can say
you
that
guys go ahead. Well, I'll say this: if you guys in the chat that are participating, you probably just started or you're about to start. Maybe you just went through your white coat ceremony. You're very, very excited. That white coat ceremony was amazing, besides the bus ride to Savannah. But like, we are very, very excited for you. I guess I should have started with this. We're very, very proud of you. We really, really want you guys to be successful through this career. We do enjoy what we do. We didn't always like what we were learning, and we don't always like what we do every day. But we do want to be very transparent with you guys. So yes, if you have any questions, chime in, please. But we are proud that you're here. So, okay, I'm done.
No, that's good. Thank you. So basically, this topic is essentially what I wish I knew before starting pharmacy school. To start it off, first, a few things are things that aren't essentially related to being, I guess, like in pharmacy school itself, but just school, graduate school in general. A few things is that, because I mean, my first couple of classes, I came into school and I was really just rolling in like sweatpants, like regular shorts. I feel like one thing that I got in my head really quickly was like, oh, people like actually like look professional. This is a professional program. Like people are coming in here with like, you know, nice slacks, nice shirts. Like, so that was something I kind of got into the habit of trying to make sure that I do, is even if I'm comfortable, try to make it look like you're professional. Try to make it look like you might have a business meeting, but you might also be going to hang out with friends. Like have a good balance to still make sure you look presentable, but find it, you know, in your own self. That's one of the things for sure that I can say that in my head I kind of like had a little culture shock for. Is there anything for you, Refreke, that you had specifically before you came to pharmacy school?
Yeah, that definitely was a shocker for me as well. I think it was a little different for me because I started school in the pandemic. So we were on the computer chilling at home. But a lot of times they asked for us to dress professionally on camera. So that was different. I also think that what I didn't really know before is that, and it's so crazy that I'm about to say this, so don't judge me, but like that pharmacy school is not undergrad. You know, like it's clearly not, because it's the entire doctoral program, But for whatever reason, I thought, I'm smart. I was doing well in undergrad. I made it into pharmacy school. I can make my way through this. It requires a whole new person being in pharmacy school. Like, I feel like a year ago from today, I'm a completely different person from who I was. It just as far as procrastination, as far as just to be candid, laziness, like I think I had to really get myself out of the do things on your time when you feel like doing it. Like, no, you can't just do things when you feel like doing it anymore. You have to do them because you have to. And so that was, I think, a bit of a shocker for me. And you don't really realize it until you recognize that the bare minimum effort you're putting in is not giving you the results you need. So yeah, I think that was definitely something I wish I knew, and I should have known that, but it just didn't click until I experienced it.
Yeah, that's really good, Ifreke. Go ahead, Aaron. Go to Dietrich.
So along the lines of what Ifreke was saying, when the transition. So as a professor, I feel like with my students, the thing that I don't remember half of first day of school for me was so long ago. I'm not even going to pretend that I can give you.
It was not that long ago.
Listen, it feels really, really long ago. I have this perspective now of the students, and I'm also a very new professor too. So I'm not like well seasoned. I've only been doing it 2 years. So sometimes I forget that I'm not a student. Like, I'm like, gotta go to class. And I'm like, no, you gotta go to a meeting. But I think for my students, where they're high performing or whatever, you come in and now you're back on a level playing field. So that shocker of that first D, no one warned me that wasn't the end of the world, because in undergrad, that was the end of the world. Like, so you mean to tell me you're only going to give me a 63? And in pharmacy school, like, I try to tell my students, I'm like, a 63 is actually not that bad. I want you. And they're like, not that bad, doctor. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. So that coming in and that transition between they were top of their class, because you guys were top of your class in undergrad, because that's why you're now in pharmacy school. But now you have everyone in pharmacy school was top of their class, and now you're on a level playing field. So understanding also that just because quarter one is your quarter two might not be your quarter, and that's okay. The science courses might be your thing and that's what you rock. And then the clinical courses might take a little bit more work. So understanding that sometimes things that you were good at or you really, really like I really, really like the heart. I don't really, really like cardio, the course.
Yes.
True.
So I love hypertension though. Don't like testing over it. So just give yourself some grace and understand that a D is not the end of the world. And no one warned me that it's okay to fall down a few times in pharmacy school, because you can still spell doctor with at least one D and at least one C.
Yeah.
Preach.
Dr. Robinson. If possible, I would like to chime in. It looks like Ifreke, Dr. Dietrich, and I are on the same wavelength. I pretty much was going to say just about the same thing. Again, I guess probably the main thing you all will get from me is give yourself grace. In the event you may make and hear me out when I say this, sometimes as a professor, I see that a B sometimes is devastating for a student, for someone who has made all A's through undergrad. It can be a humbling experience because, again, everyone here was at the top of their class. But to add to what was previously stated, the whole goal is to understand the concept and the content. I think it's in your best interest to understand that my purpose is to understand what I'm being taught versus grabbing the grade, if you will, in layman's terms, like grabbing the grade. I'm here to, achieve this grade, whether it's an A or I just need this number of points to pass to get a C because C's get degrees, whatever the case may be. The whole goal is to understand the concept of what you're being taught, whether it's pharmaceutical calculations, if it's clinical courses, even when you start learning like biostatistics, and even when you go on your rotations, whether they're introductory or advanced. The whole bottom line is for you to understand the concept, because you can make all A's just by being a great test taker and things of that sort. But that board exam, that NAPLEX is really going to tell the tale. And that is why understanding the concept and the root of what you're being taught is key. If that means you have to hunt your professor down for office hours, Dr. Dietrich at her university, she's offering tutoring sessions. Whoever, wherever you can get that information, even Dr. Johnson, or she needs to utilize any of us on the call, Dr. McLean or I, whoever, reach out and make sure you understand the heart and the concept and the meat of what's being taught. So then you don't have to worry about retaking that board exam, because it costs a grip. So
Yes.
everything you're doing now is building up
And
to
it's
that
hard.
board exam. Yes,
Ooh,
that
can I
part.
chime?
And let me chime
Go
in.
ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dr. McLean.
I wish someone would have told me about allegations and for calculations. Make sure you understand and know how to do allegations, because you will be using that quite a bit if you want to go into hospital pharmacy, calculating allegations. So that's something that is pretty tough, and it will be on the board. So try to make sure that you understand how to do that. But I also didn't like biostatistics. I don't think I like anything about statistics, but I have to do it a lot if you want to do research in academia. So
Yeah, I think.
Really quick, please?
Can I just hop in? Go ahead, Ifrike. Go ahead.
Okay, so really quick, it is so important to have a solid, if not a solid, like group of friends or classmates that can just help you out. Like my friends have gotten me out of so many jams or last minute things that I didn't understand with school. Like, I kid you not, I started thinking, okay, I can do this. I don't have to build a big, no, you need a community. You need it. Like, please, if you like to be by yourself, don't get out of it right now. Like, please learn to connect with other people. And now that we're not on a computer, it's so much easier. And I feel like I'm able to gain and have more people pour into me and also pour into others through school. So you would be so surprised how many people can really help you. And also, to what Dr. Dietrich said, it is so important that if you fail an exam, pharmacy school, you're going to have another exam to worry about. So you really just have to push through and do your best. Like, don't even let it stress you, because if you're still stressing off a past exam, it's going to affect your mental for the next one. So just move forward.
Go ahead, Dr. Johnson.
Amen.
I'll chime in after you. Go ahead.
Okay. So I just want to kind of really solidify some of the topics that I'm over here writing on my desk. So one thing that Dr. Robinson was saying is that you really want to know the information, whether you get a C or a D or an A on your exam. Really remember that as a pharmacist, you can kill someone. Okay. People's lives are going to literally be in your hands. Okay. And so if you don't know the information that you're learning in your first semester or your first quarter, because everything is foundational, so everything is just going to be added on top, and you're going to need to know all of that information. So, he's talking about some allegations. That part, I don't, anyway, that's why I went into AmCare. But all this information is going to build. So what you learn at the beginning, you're going to need to know at the end on your board exams, and when you're taking care of someone's grandmother who has diabetes or congestive heart failure or is in the hospital with COVID, you need to know this information. So that's very, very valuable. You really need to know that. Another thing is pharmacy is a small world. So the connections that you build, I know you guys are going to hear this, that pharmacy is a small world. I hate saying it now that I'm saying it, but you're going to hear that pharmacy is a small world. Once you're done with pharmacy school, you might be gray haired and 92 years old, but somebody's going to say pharmacy is a small world to you, I promise. But it really, really is. Just looking at the connections of the mentors and mentees that are here, I met everyone. Dr. Dietrich and I went to pharmacy school together. Dr. Robinson and I met on a vacation. I met Dr. McLean through Dr. Robinson. I met Tila as a student who was over at my site at my previous position. Ifreke, girl, Instagram? How we meet? I forgot.
On Instagram.
Instagram, exactly. But, we all have friends across the nation, potentially across the world. those connections that you build in pharmacy school will take you a very long way. And somebody might know something that you don't know, and you might know something that they don't know. So be open to meeting with people, building a rapport, talking to your professors. I see a lot of times students try to avoid speaking to their professors. What they have the knowledge you need, y'all, and you are paying money to get that knowledge. Yes. And if you have student loans, you know, what you're accruing your first year, if you don't finish, you still have to pay that back. So we want y'all to finish. If that's your only why, that's a great why. But I'm telling you. But definitely remember, if I don't say anything else that makes sense to you, remember, you're going to have people's lives in your hands. You can really damage, ruin someone's life, potentially. So, and also I got my lowest test grade in my life in pharmacy school, and we still here. Amen. Amen. Come on, church. I'll go ahead, Tila.
I was really going to say what you were going to say in terms of seeing your teachers, because that was something I did not do in undergrad. And I was like, I came into pharmacy school and I was like, man, I don't need to see teachers. I don't need to make friends with anybody. Like Freke said, I was like, I can do this by myself. I can learn all the information. And yeah, that first exam was a very good wake up call. So 100%, like Freke said, if you find a solid group of friends, honestly, because I can agree 100% that studying with people that you are genuinely cool with, but also have the same like type of goals, and you all are goal oriented, you will get so many things done. I know that I am stronger in certain subjects that like my classmates are, and my classmates are stronger in certain subjects that I know that I kind of struggle with. Being able to bounce back and forth off that and study with each other, give each other good tips, make sure you're staying on top of each other. Like make sure you know this is due. Did y'all submit this assignment? It happens. So I think that's definitely a big thing. And also, yeah, 100% I would agree. Go to your teachers, because I was not the student that would sit up in my teacher's office for 3 hours making sure that I can understand the topic. That was not me in undergrad. That is me now. Like Dr. Johnson said, we pay tuition and I pay money to be here. So I'm going to put them tuition dollars to use, and I will sit in your office till I understand, or at least until I have a better idea of where I need to go home and learn it myself. But I do 100% agree with both of those things. And that's all I want to say.
Yeah. So we want to leave time for you guys to ask questions in the end. So we may come back to the what we wish I knew. But Tila, if we can, or Ifreka, we can go to the next topic. That'd be great.
Yes. Okay. Next topic is not that studying tips. What y'all all want to know?
Yes, I think everybody has a question about studying tips.
Literally, that's the thing that, I mean, that's going to get you through pharmacy school. I mean, obviously, being professional, all the other things matter, but studying for those exams. I know that I know I reference undergrad a lot, but undergrad, I was the type of student that could walk into class, listen to the lecture, maybe not even listen to it afterwards, kind of take notes here and there, review the lecture the day before the exam, come into the exam, and everything was great. That is not pharmacy school, and please, I am begging you, do not do that. Do not do that. Okay, I had the biggest shock coming into pharmacy school in terms of revamping the entire way that I study. I am now the person that will study the second that we get the lecture. I mean, even getting the lecture, going to class, I'm seeing it for the second time at that point. I'm not even seeing it for the first time. So I'm reviewing the lecture, trying to review the lecture beforehand, going into class, listening to what the teacher says, re-listening to the lecture, making sure I'm talking about it, trying to find other things that can make sure that it solidifies in my mind. But not just trying to be so focused on that, but also making sure I organize my time well, so that I'm not just studying one subject for 5 hours and I'm like, oh wait, I have 6 other classes that I have to study for. You want to make sure you prioritize your time in terms of that. I know personally I used like different like charts where I say, okay, I had time from this time to this time, I'm going to study this topic. This time to this time, I'm going to study this topic. This time to this time, I'm going to study this topic, just so that you're taking a break and you're not trying to learn everything in one sitting, because honestly, you're going to get burnt out, and I don't think it's going to be beneficial. But if Rebecca has, I don't want to, because I can go on and on about study tips.
Girl, I can go on. So I'm letting you.
So listen, because this is a big topic and I see a lot of people are asking questions, so I want everybody to take time. But Ifreka, I want you to kind of give your example of how you studied your first year and then how you've changed that. And then Dr. Robinson will come to you because I see that you're unmuted. But I think Ifreka, you really had a come to Jesus moment with studying, and let us kind of know, it pretty much is solidifying what Tila said as well, but kind of break that down for the students being your second year.
Yeah. You know, I'm a very honest girl, okay? P1 year, I was doing anything. Like, I don't know what my mindset was, but it definitely wasn't where I am right now. And I've expressed this to Dr. Johnson, so I appreciate you seeing that. So I definitely had a come to Jesus moment. I think what I would do differently is that, first of all, I've always felt overwhelmed my P1 year. I always felt behind. I always felt like, I see there was a question that says like, where do I start? Like, I always felt that as well. Like, where do I even start? It's so much. And the only reason why I felt like that is because I waited too late to study. You know, like, it's because I just wasn't on top of things. So right now I'm in my P2 year and I'm not stressed at all. And the reason is because I literally study before I go to class. Like, the things people say, all the different tricks and tips, they really work. Like, I used to just not do them for some reason. I don't know if I was just too proud or whatever the case. I just thought I was so smart. But no, you're never too smart for this. I kid you not. Like, so what I do is I study, I look at the syllabus, and I look at what the topic is going to be for that day. Where in the book are we going to be pulling from? I go to the book before, probably like the night before. I don't have to do anything too crazy. Like, it doesn't require too much effort. Like, maybe like an hour or two the day before I'm about to go to class, I just go over the chapter that is put in the syllabus. I'll either highlight it, I'll make a Quizlet off of the chapter, and then I'll go to class. So now I'm in class and I'm already familiar based off my own knowledge, but now the teacher is giving their own extensive knowledge. And a lot of times the things that the teacher is saying that isn't in the book or what they're emphasizing or have said multiple times is what you need to make sure you understand, because that's probably going to be on exam or things like that. Before, I used to study for exams, and now I study to be a good pharmacist. So I think that's really just the whole thing of everything. So one thing, yes, Quizlet is life. So what I do is I study before I go to class. I'll take notes, add different things here and there, like on the PowerPoint slide, depending on what the teacher says. And then probably at the end of the day, I'll go over everything that I learned that day in my different classes. I don't have to, like, it doesn't have to be too in-depth, so it's not taking too much of your energy, but you definitely should just go over everything so you can understand, make sure you see it. And then I do that every day through Monday through Friday. Friday night or Saturday morning, I go over all my notes for the past week. So I probably spend like a couple hours to go all my notes for the past week. And then the next week, I just do it again. So then by the time my exam starts, I've seen this information multiple times. And so I'm not cramming and I'm not doing all this stuff. Like, and I really just was telling my classmates earlier today, like, y'all, this studying thing really works. Like,
look at that.
I just feel so, I'm not overwhelmed at all. I just feel on top of everything. Like, I love it.
I want to answer Ayana's question really quick. She said, do you do the 50-10 study way? Are you talking about like study for 50 minutes and then take a break for 10? I personally do that. I personally do that for certain topics, or I'll study for like an hour and a half and take like a 15-minute break. So depending, but yeah, I do study that way in terms like during my, because after classes, you're tired. Honestly, I mean, we have class from 9 to 5, literally. I go home, take like an hour and a half break to myself because I need my time. And then after that, I'll do the hour, take a 10-minute break, hour, 10-minute break. That's how I was really, really, really on it for closer to the end of P1 year and P2 year. But go ahead, Dr. Robinson.
Okay, so thank you, Ifreka and Tila, for pretty much, again, saying what I was about to say. The key thing that I want to highlight from Ifreka is studying to be a good pharmacist versus memorization. If you study just to memorize, you're really going to shoot yourself in the foot in the long run, because as Dr. Johnson said, everything Like from your first year all the way to your fourth year, your first year is your foundation. And if your foundation is shaky, once you start building on top of that, there's going to come a time where you feel behind because there may be some fundamentals that you may not have grasped simply because you were trying to study for an exam versus retain the knowledge, which is why I was saying on the last topic, making sure you understand the concept and the root of what's being taught. I don't know if you all are familiar with this concept of like learning styles and things of that sort, but there's pretty much like 5. You have kinesthetic, so that's hands-on, audio, reading, visual, etc. Understand that not every professor is going to teach according to what your learning style is. However, the way you study is how you can incorporate your learning style. So if you're the person that needs to video, well, now you have Echo 360 and Blackboard collaborating, things of that sort. But let's say you're in a class where recordings are not necessarily accessible. Make sure you get permission if you have like your voice recorder on your phone or whatnot. But if you're the person who is audio like me, I have to listen, I need to hear. Don't take for granted the 15-20-minute commute that you're driving from home to school or driving from school to the gym. That's study time as well. You can use it to decompress, but in other words, I guess I'm saying, try to maximize whatever time that you have. For those of you who have longer commutes, that's definitely a good time if you're audio to listen to the recordings. You break it up into chunks, or at least just listen to the part of the recording that was a little bit complicated. You'll be surprised what you'll retain from there. I keep seeing Quizlets. If you're old school and you need to do pen and paper, flashcards, things of that sort, but whatever can assist you based on your learning style, if you're familiar with that, the way you can figure out ways to use different tools according to your learning style. So if you have to do like a word map or something, or a concept map, and you're just drawing lines to what's connected, you can do that too. You can get very creative based on how well or how best you process information. So there's no set rule. You can use the 50-10, you can use the hour and 15-minute break. You can use a dry erase board to map it all out. You can go back to old school and write 5 times, how they used to have you do spelling words 5 times each. If that works for you, whatever works for you.
Yeah. And I'll say for me, all that advice is perfect, and you will probably use that interchangeably while you're in pharmacy school. So for me, some topics in pharmacy school, I had to study with a group. One thing that really solidified my that I knew what I knew is that I could teach it to someone else. If they asked me a question and I could teach it to them, then I knew the information. Don't teach people wrong information though, okay? And then some topics I could not study in a group because I really needed to solidify the information myself personally before I could go into maybe a smaller group of 2 other people. I write, I guess I'm old school now, but I write things out, and I also am more of a kinesthetic learner as well. Definitely learn your study style or your learning technique or your learning style. Because like some things, maybe like the Krebs cycle or something like that, we would act it out in the hallway and everybody had a part, or, and then you had to explain it, or you can go through the objectives and how be able to answer the objectives without going through the information in your PowerPoint or in your book. So I definitely would say, be open to your study techniques changing based on the topic and also based on how the professor tests. I don't want you to focus on responding to a test, but you do need to kind of realize how your professor tests, if that makes sense. Because somebody had K-type questions, and Amber, you can tell me, and I hated K-type questions. They were the bane of my existence. You guys will learn about K-type questions soon.
They're not statistically proven to be helpful anymore, so I don't allow them in my course.
Oh, because here's another part for K. It's no longer K-type. It's select all that.
Oh, listen, select all that.
Select all that apply. Yes.
the worst. It's the worst type of question.
It's worse than
ever.
K-type, actually.
It's actually worse than K-type.
Actually,
Yes.
it's worse. Yes.
Okay,
or
well,
which ones are wrong. Teachers do that now. They'll be like, which answer is
I've never
not?
heard that. That's wild.
But no, they actually just, if I can interject, I think there has been studies that proven that negative formulation of questions actually produces negative results in regards to student performance. So they always encourage professors to use more positive language. However, there may be some who may say which of the following is not correct. You have to kind of be mindful if that professor is still using that type of assessment style, but for the most part, they're supposed to be using more positive language. But if that happens, it happens. But yes, it's more select all that apply now. I haven't seen K-type in a while now.
oh, so I'm old. Got it. So Dr. McClain, did you? I'm not that old. Dr. McClain, did you want to add to that? Coming from academia.
Yeah, I haven't seen K-type questions in a while either. Like select, is it 1, 2, 3 or 1, 3, 4? Yeah. So
yeah, oh my God.
None of the above. All of the above.
Yeah, none of the above. I think we are still using questions. Select which answer's incorrect or which answer is not correct. I think we are still using that question though in some courses. But as far as my studying tips, I used to try to study immediately after the class or like go directly to the library. I use flashcards, a group like Ifrake said. I would get like with a group. I would get with someone who actually like was acing the class and would have them just kind of guide me, do flashcards with me. And that really helped me. I was one of the classes I was failing. And once I started working with that student with my classmate, I ended up passing the course or whatever. So that helped. So get with someone who you know that's constantly like acing all the tests, get with that person and see if they can help you in some shape or form. I'm not familiar with how all the apps and stuff now. I'm old school. It's been a while since I've been in pharmacy school. So but
there's some good apps out there.
Tips. I'm sure there are some good apps. I'm sure there is some good apps.
Just to add to what
oh, go ahead, Frike.
Sorry, just to add to what Dr. McClain said, definitely befriend people who probably wouldn't be those people that you would befriend. You know, like they don't always have to look like you in order for you to connect and grow and help each other. So a lot of times I think you know who knows what they're doing in class because that's the one who's always answering questions or the one who's always asking questions. Sometimes the person who's always asking questions also knows exactly what they're doing too. So once you recognize those people, you're like, okay, cool, I'm about to sit next to you. Like we're going to get through this together and try to I also like to ask people like, oh, are you good with biostats? Are you good with calculations? Because I can help you with that. I'm really good at that. You know, just different things like that. So you could try to be a resource and also have someone be more comfortable to be a resource to you as well.
Very nice.
That was good. I would like to respond to a comment in the chat. I think it was Stephanie. I think she made the comment of, I feel like when I take breaks, I'm missing out on studying. I would like to say that and there's levels to what I'm about to say, but if you're no good, you're no good. Because if you're going through the motions of just reading a book, but you're really not retaining, you really genuinely need a break. You're really not making best use of your time. So I know that there's an element of guilt. It's like, I really should be studying right now. Now, if you've taken 5 mental health days, then I think you should go ahead and just wrap this up. We got to wrap it up, sis. But if, it's Friday, you've worked really hard. It was, a week full of topics that were challenging for you. You can take a mental health break. You're not you know, I don't want you to feel like you're betraying yourself. You're not as, or feel like you're not as motivated because you don't have a book or your phone or an app or whatever to your face 24/7. The brain also needs to rest and recharge as well to process the information you've received. So I just want you to keep that in mind. And if anyone else felt the same way, rest. And I know there's no such thing as sleep in pharmacy school, but you have to figure it out. But rest and sleep is key, because if you're piling on information and your brain is unable to process it, then you could potentially lose it. So you definitely need to take those breaks. And I don't want you to feel guilty for taking a break.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Dr.
Yes.
Robinson.
So I want to chime in because our time is nearing. I think we're kind of short on time for questions, but what I will say, I will promise you guys, is that the network, we will do a webinar on studying and positive preparation for exams, because we can really go into an exam feeling anxious or feeling nervous. And a lot of things that I tell my mentees when you're going into an exam is that anxiety is really just your excitement. You just have to repurpose how you think about it and how you look at it, because it's all still they're the same chemical production in your body, whether you're excited or you're nervous. And it's also an expectation. If you're nervous, you're expecting something bad to happen. When you're excited, you're expecting something good to happen. So it's all about how you focus your mind around what you're going to be doing. So we'll do a presentation on studying, study tips, and positive preparation for exams. So don't fret. We're gonna come back to that because that's a really big topic, guys, and it's very, very important. So there can be a part 2 of this Zoom. Yes, sis, we surely can. Classical music definitely helps. Okay, I'm not gonna go on a rant. We will have a part 2 and focus on studying. And now you're gonna hold me accountable. Thank you. Okay. So Tila or Ifreke?
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Last topic that we had was the real work begins now. So now that you're in pharmacy school, you're starting week 1, day 1 as a P1. And you now have 4 years to pretty much put things into your basket that are going to make you a better pharmacist outside of just knowing the knowledge. Because you can know the knowledge. I know there are probably students who can probably get A's on all their tests, tell you everything that they learn in the book, but once they get on rotation, once they get the appies, once they sit in meetings with professors, it's kind of like they clam up and it's like, okay, so you have the knowledge, but being able to put it to use in those clinical settings, in the retail settings, in your appies, IPpies, stuff that you're going to have to do for a rotation that's going to make you literally a pharmacist. You want to be able to have that balance in terms of having the knowledge but being able to put it to good use when it's necessary.
Thank you for that, Tila. I just have this is the interactive portion of me as a professor, just real quick. You can unmute yourselves or put in the chat. I'm going to call out some brands and you let me know what comes to mind when you hear this brand. So Chick-fil-A. What do you think of when you hear Chick-fil-A?
Chicken. Number one, chicken biscuit.
Number one, chicken biscuit.
Chick-fil-A
closed on Sunday.
Chicken.
They have boundaries, yes. What else?
The sauce. The cow.
Customer service.
Customer service. That's the key one I was looking for.
My pleasure.
When you think about Android and Apple, what is typically the comparison of the two?
The Apple's better.
Lifestyle.
Why is
Apple's a lifestyle.
The green messages. FaceTime, the blue messages.
The green bubble.
Right. So a lot of this has to do with like when I think about Android and Mac, the main thing that comes to mind is the aesthetic, like the presentation, how sleek and clean and polished the brand looks, right? I bring that up to say your 3 or 4 years in pharmacy school is your 3-year or 4-year long interview. And you are establishing your brand as a pharmacist the first day you walk in the classroom. The professors don't know your name yet. Your classmates don't know your name yet, but you have to make sure from the way that you dress, from the way that you speak, from the way you communicate through emails, netiquette, things of that sort, establishing rapport with potential mentors, even when you do your introductory rotations as well as your advanced pharmacy practice rotations. You are establishing your brand. Think about what happens to a brand when they tweet something negative, or they back some position that mainstream may not view as appropriate. What happens? It is so easy for a quality brand to pretty much crumble, and they have to fight so hard to come back to the the acclaim or the status that they had. So it takes a lot to build a brand. It's at the blink of an eye, the brand can be tarnished. So I want you to kind of think about that as you go through your years in pharmacy school. Again, Dr. Johnson said the world of pharmacy is so small. You heard the connections of how all of us met, from Dr. Dietrich and Dr. Johnson being classmates. I met Dr. Johnson on a vacation, introduced Dr. McLean, and then from the students there. The world is very small. And in addition to that, you could be in a position where your classmates may have a say-so in whether you're hired or not. So in the whole grand scheme of things, you are building your brand day one. And while the real work in regards to study, you can study all day, you can join student organizations and get all the internships. But if your attitude is poor and you lack professionalism, that is really what's going to shoot you in the foot. And I'm done with my sermon here.
I mean, that was definitely a word. Looks like Josh put in, be more than just a student. You have to be well-rounded. If anyone wants to chime in on the CV builders, I really tend to speak with my mentees about those. One thing is, a lot of people are going to go for residency positions. When I went for a residency position, I was a very well-rounded student. My grades, they were a different shape. But because of the things that I had in my CV, the things that I presented in regards to interviews and things of that nature, whether it's for residency or a job or whatever the case may be, you need to be more than just books, okay? Because pharmacy is not just the information that you're reading. You have to be able to speak to people. You have to be able to get along with your colleagues. You have to be able to manage people. And all the while knowing what you know. So you definitely want to have CV builders, and we can talk about CV builders in another session too. But Dr. McLean, or did anyone else have anything?
So setting yourself up for success. What I tell my students all the time is you have to be a lifelong learner. A pharmacist, I learn something new probably every hour on the hour. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, some of my faculty members open their mouth and they start talking, and I'm like, where did you even learn that at? And say it again so I can learn it too, right? So I like to play devil's advocate. I say he has enough advocates, but I'm gonna play one anyway today. Contacting your professors is great. And I tell my students too, but also understand that if I reply with a question, it's not because I don't want to answer you, it's because I want to also say, okay, now you asked me this question, so let me turn it back on you and just help you think of it a different way, because your techs are going to come to you and ask you questions. Nurses are going to ask you questions eventually. And so they know when they email me, if they start their sentence off with, so I teach the pharmaceutical calculations course. When Dr. McLean says she hates allegations, my final is on Friday and they about to hate them too in about 72 hours.
Help.
Yeah. But like, when they email me the first week, they could email me and say, Dr. D, my world's on fire. I don't know how to even set this up. Okay, let's work through it. By week 4 or 5, you can't email me that. You have to say, Dr. D, when I started this problem dealing with ratio and proportion, I got to here and then I got stuck. I can work with that all day. And like Tila said, 4 to 5 hours in my office. Yes. But my world is on fire. I don't know what to do. I can't set this up. And I don't do it. A lot of times I want you to realize professors don't do it to be mean or spiteful. We do it to set you up for success. Because there have been times where I'm the only pharmacist in an entire hospital. There's a code, ICU, they need a new drip. My techs are downstairs. And They need me to make this drug in the IV room that I've never made before because my tech is upstairs filling the Pyxis. I can't just call my pharmacy director and say, oh my gosh, my world is on fire. I don't know what to do. I have to stop, think a minute, take a breath. LexiComp will tell me how to reconstitute this because I have no idea. And it's okay to not have an idea, but that goes back to learning your foundation to where I can look in LexiComp, I can do the calculations, and I can look and clinically apply that to my patient. Great. And that's all we really require you to do is set yourself up to be in a position to where your world is going to burn down. It is. And you're going to have to be the person to put that fire out and understand that a lot of what's done in pharmacy school, now a lot of it don't make sense. I'm on the other side of it now and it still don't make sense why they do what they do. I get it. Everyone has somebody we answer to, okay? It may not make sense why your professors they won't respond to my email and I keep emailing about this question. I realized a lot of times my professors didn't respond because it wasn't going to be on the test anyway, and she wasn't going to type me a 1-paragraph response for something she really wasn't going to answer. So kind of also put things in perspective too, that your professors are trying their hardest because we're doing this. I know for the ones here, I can tell we do this because we love what we do. And though I can see students struggling, when I see that light bulb click, I get chills probably more than they do. They're like, I got it, Dr. D. And I'm like, oh my God, you got it. Please just pass my test on Friday and we'll be best friends. In 3 years after you graduate, not right now, but later. But yeah, just understand that everything is a necessary evil. Sometimes we make, as faculty members, we have to make your world feel like it's burning for a second. So when it really does burn, you know where to go to get the fire hose and how to put your gear on, because it's gonna burn down. Trust me. It is. You're gonna make an error. Every pharmacist makes an error, and any pharmacist that tells you they've never made an error is probably lying. But the success in that is my foundation was there's a smaller chance that my error was not fatal, or I have the professionalism to report that error and not hide it. To do better because I made an error, to use it as a lesson because you will make an error, but learning from that is what you have to do. So that whole, you did bad on an exam and I am so sorry, but what did we learn from this, right? We learned not to calculate it that way and to round your decimal, like I said, so you don't kill that PEDS patient, right? So just understanding that everything's a necessary evil and the steps through pharmacy school are to set you up for success.
That's awesome. And remember, most people that are in pharmacy school that are teaching you have been through something very, very similar. So take it with a grain of salt that sometimes we really are. As a preceptor in clinic, I don't answer any questions until you come to me with something of substance. So if I ask you a question and the answer is wrong, I'm going to keep asking you questions until you get to the right answer or you figure out why you got that question wrong. And it's not to pimp you per se. It's more to let's figure out where the missing pieces so that your clinical knowledge is well-rounded and full and not just handing you the answer. And, you know, when my auntie comes to see you, you don't know how to dose her insulin. So it all will make sense when you're on this side. I promise you, 97% of it will make sense when you're on this side. And it'll definitely be worth it. Dr. McLean, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Just as you're going through school, just think about this could be your mom, this could be your dad, your child, a family member as you are learning, grasping concepts, and that you want to make sure, like Dr. Dietrich said, that we all make mistakes. I made mistakes practicing, and pharmacy school really doesn't teach you that. Like pharmacy school doesn't teach you how to go to codes and what to do in codes. That's something I learned on experience. I had to attend a code for a pediatric gunshot wound. And I was so frazzled and luckily I wasn't by myself. There was a colleague with me too, but my colleague, she had no pediatric experience. So I had to become the calm one because I had the pediatric experience, but we got through it. But they don't teach you that in pharmacy school. So that a lot of things you learn is really through experience. As far as Dr. Robertson saying that from P1 all the way to P4 year, this is an interview. As far as your CV, have your professors look over your CV. Put things down that you've done your P1 year. As soon as you're done with it, put it down in your CV. Any presentations that you've done. Some of you will begin experiential rotations, IPPEs, in your fall semester of your P1 year. Add that to your CV, but always have someone, a professor or mentor, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Robinson, Dr. Dietrich, any of us look over your CV to make sure that you are a standout candidate, that to set you apart from everyone else. And that's all I have to say on that part.
Awesome. And guys, if you're not sure what a CV is, it's a curriculum vitae. It's basically your fancy resume that tells us everything that you've done from day one. So that's why we're saying put on there what you've accomplished from day one. And you know, with the network, I definitely help develop your CV and make sure that it looks very well polished and presentable and makes sense. So that's something that we can definitely work on. But I want to wrap because I also have to finish working from earlier today. But I definitely appreciate everyone's time and consideration. Did we skip a slide,
I was
Tila?
about to say, didn't we have? Oh yeah. I mean, it was just last like questions. If anyone had any.
Okay, so we can take. Well, here's what I'll do. I do want you guys to email me any questions that we did not answer tonight. Moving forward, I definitely will have recurring webinars for you. So we'll do studying tips. I also kind of want to do a where can I go webinar in regards to what your career can be. Because as you see, we are all in different arenas in pharmacy. Things have all changed. Pharmacists responding to a gunshot wound. Who knew? Dr. McLean knew. So we definitely will get that going. Tila has dropped a form in so that you guys can include your information so that we are able to reach out to you. But I just want to thank everyone for participating this evening, taking the time out of your day, whether it's starting pharmacy school or you're in your career and you've worked all day. I thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Dietrich, Dr. McLean, Dr. Robinson, Tila, and Ifreke, you guys definitely killed it here. But I think that's all I have. Tila, did you want to add anything, or Ifreke, or mentors?
You
Last
mean just
words?
clothing? Oh, no, I'm glad everyone was able to show up, and I hope that it was super helpful in starting your P1 year. And honestly, don't stress too much about it. You don't want to have this stress overwhelming you for what you're trying to do for your future. So take everything that we said here and really like put it to use, and you guys are gonna be fine. It's gonna be great.
Yes.
I'm proud of everyone here. You should be proud of yourselves. I'm sure your family and friends are proud of you too. Do not be too hard on yourself. Push yourself, but don't be too hard on yourself. We've all going through it together. Okay. And Dr. Johnson is an amazing mentor. She's bomb.
I didn't pay her. Any mentors, did you have anything else before you wrap? I mean, I'm not gonna freestyle.
So if I can say one thing, Dr. Robinson said it, and it's my favorite word. I know my students get tired of me saying it. Always give yourself grace. Always remember that even 2 weeks ago, you know more than what you knew 2 weeks ago. And next quarter, you're gonna know more than what you knew last quarter. Also remember that if it was easy, there would not be an application process. We would just walk into high school and accept a bunch of people and give them doctorate degrees. We do not want our anesthesiologists to have had it easy. We do not want our physicians and surgeons to have had it easy. And so pharmacists, it should not be easy. But you're here because someone along the way believed that you can do it. We believe that you can do it. We're here. I love mentoring. I love talking a lot. So when students come to my office, I usually hold them hostage 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, you're going to work 5 more problems and get them all right before you leave, because I'm salary, so I'm going to be here. So
Oh my God.
you can sit here and work them out, or I don't know what to do. But always remember to give yourself some grace. Those tough moments, they will be tough moments, but you can do it. Everything about you says you can.
Awesome. Dr. Robinson?
I just wanted to wish everyone the best. I think I've said a lot. I don't want to hold us up just for the sake of time, but I wish each and every one of you on the call the best. Please make sure you utilize all the resources that Dr. Johnson puts out for you guys. No, she did not pay me either. I just know that she will have your best interests at heart. So if you have any questions or concerns, definitely make sure you check her out on her socials there, or anything that you need. She'll be there to take care of you for sure.
And Dr. McLean?
It was nice meeting all of you. I wish you all the best. Good luck. And I know all of you will be successful.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you for participating in Pearls of Wisdom for our P1s. This is just the start. This is just the beginning to your career, but we are definitely here with Dream Secure Mentoring Network to support you along the way. Please, please, please email, Instagram, whatever the case may be. Give me a little time to respond, but I will respond to you. So thank you. Have a good night and best of wishes. Fill out that survey that Tila dropped into the chat, please, so that I can connect with you. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank
So
you.
much.
Thank you.